Good morning, children. I hope you have seen the previous video of political science where I have discussed in depth about the syllabus and the project work of political science. I have already mentioned about the course and the content also that will be covering in the upcoming videos. Right, here in this video I am going to discuss about the chapter 1 of political science, that is the introduction to political science, and in this video I will be covering about what? About the definitions of political science, its scope, and why we have to study political science. Why? What was the reason behind all these things? And obviously, political science is not a new concept. Political science is all related to the governance, right? Its implementation, its administrations, and how government is being implementing its policies and plans, right? It's all related to the political activities, the politics. You here in this video, you need to learn about many things regarding the political theories, right? So let's start with chapter 1 now. Here in chapter 1, so what is political science? We are going to do that now. In political science, in this chapter we have been given traditional and classical political science or political theory definition, and as well modern political science or modern political theory definition, right? These definitions, it's related to one topic itself, that is the political science, but we are going to study first about traditionally how this political science came into existence and what was its effects, right? And next we are going to do in depth about the modern political theory or modern political science. Clear, everyone? So we need to first of all make ourselves aware about the fundamental definition of political science. What is it all about? Is it related to government? Is it related to political institution? Right, everything will be cleared in this video. Now the very first thing, now in ancient, if you see here, I've already mentioned, in ancient Greece, 3rd and the 4th century BC, science of state and government political institution. That means political science is both a very old as well as a new discipline or a stream, right? Now if you see, its historical roots date back to ancient Greece times of during the times of Plato and Aristotle, right? And obviously, its new and modern form has been the modern political theory, popularly described as the scientific behavioral theory of politics that I'll be explaining you later on. Right, now let's come on to traditional classical political science or political theory. Don't get confused, it is a one name, right? It's being called by different terms: traditional classical political science or traditional classical political theory. One and the same thing. Now what is it now? In its traditional form, if you see, it has been present since very ancient time, in during ancient Greece. In which century? In the 3rd and the 4th century BC. Political science continued to be defined. Now let's come on to its definition. What is political science according to traditional concept, right? It is a science of the state and the government, right? I hope so now you people have been cleared yourself with the idea that basically political science talks about the state and the government and its compatibility, right? The state controls, right, and the government, state is doing the welfare for its citizens. Everyone knows, we've already did in civics, right? And how come government is controlling the state and government is being elected obviously over the state? Definitely everyone is knowing that. And how come? Through direct elections and through indirect elections. Clear, everyone? Right, now it concentrates on the study of state, government, and all other political institutions, right? It studies those in terms of their organizations, their legal power, positions, and interrelationships. Clear? How come state and government is being interconnected? Done. How come government is coming? Through which type of elections government is winning and controlling the state, right? There are many types of states as well, right? Center and state, that I'll be mentioning later on. Clear, everyone? Now next, it studies how it uses philosophical, that means ideas, the meaning of life. In philosophy, you need to clear yourself with the meaning of life, right? It uses philosophical, historical, and institutional approaches and methods for the study of the state and government. And how come during traditional, in traditional concept, how come they are using this? Like, how come they study the state, the science of state and government? So they are implementing different strategies, right? Through philosophy, through historically, right, through institutional approaches. Now what do you mean by institutional approaches? Now it is like you have to, here under institutional approaches you have to study the formal structures like legislative, executive, judiciary, various political parties, various legal institutions, right? Done, everyone. So that after studying all these things like philosophical, historical, legal, institutional approaches, I've already mentioned you what is it. Legal, institutional, that means the judiciary we have already did in civics part, right? Legislative part, executive part, judiciary part, right? And other methods as well. Clear, everyone? So this is all the definition of traditional classical political science or political theory. And if you see, what do you mean by political? The meaning of political is the government or public affairs of the country. So here you're going to study about the government of the country, of the concerned country, as well as the public affairs of a country, or you can call it as a public affair, right? The relationship between the government and the state. Clear, everyone? The more efficient the government, right, the more proper the state would be working. Clear, everyone? So this is a traditional definition of political science. I hope you all are not confused what is it all about. So before that, like, this political science is not a new concept. It has been already been used where during the ancient Greece, right? During the times of Plato and Aristotle, this was already used. Clear, everyone? And where they talked about science of state and government. And now how to prove it is a science of state and government science, everyone knows the theory of experimentations, right? Observation. Clear, everyone? So here they are explaining about the science of state and government and what methods they are using. They are going for philosophical methods, right? The meaning of life. They are using many historical concepts over here. They are going for legal institutional approaches. Legal institutional approaches means they are studying the formal structures like legislative, executive, judiciary, right? Like different political parties. Clear, everyone? So they are using all these things so that they can prove it is a science of state and government. Clear, everyone? This is all about traditional classical political science or political theory. Now let's come on to modern political science. Now what is modern political science or modern political theory? Now if you see what is modern political theory, the traditional political science began giving way to a new political science which got identified as a modern political science or modern political analysis or modern political theory. In place of focusing attention on the study of state, government, and other political institution, modern political science began focusing on the study of politics. Right? Modern political science talks much more than what they had already mentioned in classical political science was what? Science of state and government. Modern political science wanted to move beyond all these things, including science of a state and government. They are studying about what? They are studying about political relations, right? They are studying about different political actions. Clear, everyone? Then they are studying about political interactions and political process. So political, everyone knows what is political activities. Everyone knows the political, as I told you, the meaning of government or public affairs of the country, right? So if you see that politics जो है, all these activities associated with the governance of the country, right? Clear, everyone? Now it began studying these as system to all political interaction through which authoritative and binding decision and values are made and implemented in each society. Now they wanted to implement their authoritative and binding decisions also by implementing all these things, by studying all these things. What they are studying, like they were studying political actions and relations and political interactions. Clear, everyone? Now political interactions means kya? Among politically, they are interacting among institutions. Institution means parliament, right? They are interacting among groups, various political parties and their relations. Clear, everyone? So that they can take authoritative and binding decisions. Clear? And they can implement all these things in their decisions. It will all help them out in taking decisions in the administrative department and at the top level, so that they simply implement more efficiency, right, in the administrative work. Clear, everyone? So I hope so till now you people have understood what is the political science all about, right? And if we are studying about modern political science, so it is all related to political actions, interactions and political process. Political means government or public affairs of the country. Clear, everyone? It involves now political activities is related to liberty, justice, property rights, law, right? All these things will be studying in modern political science, and why they are doing all these things, why they are implementing all these things, so that they can take correct, authoritative, and binding decisions, right, in the when they're going to make the policies and plans for the betterment of the society and the administration. Clear, everyone? Now, what methods they are using? Now they are using different methods. Now, scientific empirical approaches they are using, system approach they are using, decision making structural approach they are using, right? And everyone knows now scientific methods is what it begin with the scientific framing questions, right, and then acquiring the knowledge through observation, experiment, right, to either support or disapprove a specific theory, right, everyone? So everyone has understood what is it all about. Clear, everyone? So with this what they are doing, with a short span, like if you see, the study of politics came to be defined as study of system politics which were at work in all countries of the world, right? Several new concept, new scientific empirical approaches, they are using different new concepts in modern political theory, right? Like scientific empirical approach I've already given you, based on observations, right? Various modern theories came to be developed and used for the study of politics. Now, I hope so people have understood what is it all about. What I'm trying to say in modern political science. Modern political science is all related to political system, political actions, interactions, right? Everyone, political behavior, right? And all these things they are implementing so that they can take the authoritative decisions in their policies and plans, right? And all these things are linked to the administration of the country. Clear. So I hope so people have understood the definition of political science, both in traditional form and in modern form. Clear? Let's move on to another slide now. Now, meaning of political science traditional view. And if you see traditional view, I again coming to the depth now. What do you mean by meaning of political science, right? In traditional view now, if you see the traditional classical study of political science began in ancient Greece. Aristotle was the first person to present a theory of a state which at that time used to be called polis. Right, the term polis was used in ancient Greece for describing a city state, a small state. Right, Aristotle used the name politics for designating his description of polis. Right, he observed the working of 158 Greek city states and presented his theory of the organizations and functions of polis. Right, now, however, what happened? After some time, several philosophers began supporting the use of such term as political philosophy or political thought for the study of state. Right, like study is only revolving around what study of state revolving around the government, but they started using more appropriate terms, right? Like they started using political philosophy, political thought, right? And this view was supported because they felt that the real question to be discussed was what is the philosophy of the state, what the state would be, what should be the objective of the state, what should be the relationship between the individual and the state, right? And later on several scholars came up with the view that since their major concern was the study of state and government, it was essential to designate the subject as political science or science of state and government. So I hope so till here you people have understood basically what is political science according to traditional view. It involves around science of state and government. Clear? Let's move on to another slide now. Now, like if you see, before moving to the other slide, if you see, that means politics, Aristotle was the first person to present the theory of a state. Several philosophers began advocating the use of the term political philosophy. Right. Then politics means the current affairs problem handled by the government of the state, scope in the constitutional law, parliamentary system, legislative procedures, judicial authority, peace, war, and treaty. I hope so now people have understand what is the politics all about. Clear? And all these part if you see you people have already did in class 10 civics portion. Clear? Let's move on to another slide now. Now come to traditional definitions. Now they've already differ the politics and political science traditionally. Now how come they differ this? Now if you see politics, politics means the meaning of politics is concerned with the day-to-day actual activity of the government, right? What government is doing daily, Then, now political science means what? It seeks to study and explain the theory of fundamental principles, origin, nature, scope, and power of state and government. Now, political science we move into more depth, right? It studies about the principles, origin, nature, scope, and power of the state and government. Clear? Now, next, if you see the next difference, politics means the actual behavior of politics, like that takes place in society. Now, political science is that social science which studies only state and government, right? The politics studies about actual behavior of the public, right? Next, politics is a practical activity, right? Anyone can play politics, clear? Whereas political science involves an academic science involves the study of state and government. If you want to go for political science, you have to read in depth about the state and the government. Next difference, politics differ from state to state and within each state from time to time. If you see, the politics of UP is quite different than the politics of southern part. Clear, everyone? They are using their different strategies over there. But if you see the principle of political science, it is all universal. Right, if you see politics in India and Britain is different, but the theory of political science is very similar in both the country. Clear? Now, whereas each one of us is involved in politics in one way or the other, everyone knows we can involve ourselves in the politics, but political science is studied only by the student of the social discipline. But if you want to go for political science, you really have to study the political science as a subject. Right. Now, the difference between the politics and political science is reflected by the fact that the politician can take part in politics without studying political science. Now, here, pay attention now, student. The politician can take part in politics without studying political science, and a student political science may or may not take an active part in politics. I hope so. The difference you people have cleared in your brain. What is the main difference between the politics and political science, so that I can make you understand more what is political science all about. Right? Let's move on to another slide. Now come on to modern view on political science. So till now we have been doing what traditional view. Then now come on to modern view now. In contemporary times, contemporary means the modern time. The view of the difference between politics and political science is not accepted by modern political scientists. They are not satisfied just with the science of state and government. They wanted to add more things. They wanted to go politically, right? They wanted to study about political interactions, actions, processes, right? Their interdependence, everything I've already explained earlier in earlier slides. Right, now what happened now, almost all modern political science accept the view that there is a little substance in making a distinction between politics and political science. Political science studies politics and hence can be called politics. State and government are the two main institutions of political life of man, which are the main objects of study in politics. Right, so hence political science is the science of politics and it can be called politics. Now let's move on to the modern meaning of political science. Now, modern meaning is what? Several modern political scientists prefer to use the term politics instead of political science. Right? They're not using political science, they're using politics in place of political science now. They define politics as science of political relation, interaction in every society. Politically, how come they are related and interacted with each other? And politically means government or public affair of the country. I've already explained you. Now, political relations are defined as all such relations and activity which are categorized by exercise of power to a significant extent. They don't accept any difference between politics and political science and hold that politics is an appropriate name for describing the study of political relations, activity, and processes. They define politics as science of politics, which studies the political phenomena or system of political relations and interactions in each society. Clear, everyone? Now, here, if you see, now politics is a science of political relations and interactions. Now, political relations are defined in such relations and activities which are categorized by exercise of power, right? They've already did, right? Now, if you see political as a process of a struggle for power, here everyone is struggling for power, right? They're implementing the laws, policies, plans, they're taking authoritative decisions. It's all coming under political science. All institutional structures, state, government, legislative, executive, judiciary, police parties, they are directly or indirectly involved in the exercise of power in the society. So I hope so till here everyone has understood what is political science all about. In the coming videos you will be studying more about political science and many other parts like about the state, government, their organs, legislative, executive and judiciary, police parties, right? All these are being involved highly in while studying political science. Right, it's not a tough subject. Basically it's telling about the relationship, political relations and interactions in every society. right? So I hope so till here everyone has understood what is political science all about. I make you more simplified and make more simplified videos, and I make you aware more things related to political science, right everyone? Till then, do listen to it attentively. Thank you so much.